Okay, now we're going to talk a little bit about energy psychology so that we can move into it later on. There are two ways in which we can perceive a situation. We can perceive it through the fast track, which is our primitive brain, and this happens when we have had a traumatic experience with something. If this person has had a traumatic experience with a dog and sees a dog, the seeing of the dog is not going to pass through the cognitive process, but instinctually the heart will start beating more quickly, the person will perspire, the breathing will become increased, and the person will be ready either to fight or flight, to run or to protect himself. And this can happen with anything in life, that we have these automatic emotional reactions. Okay? The slow track is when this perception goes to the mind, it is analyzed, it is evaluated, and the reaction is created. Okay? Now, all of the forms of energy psychology, EFT, TAT, BSFF, WHEE, Sedona method, freeze frame, all these methods are ways in which to disable this automatic emotional reaction. If we ask this person, do you really believe that you're in danger? They will say, no, but I can't control myself. So one thing is to change the belief. So there are two kinds of work going on here. Changing the belief, but also removing the conditioned energy field about that situation. So we can have changed the belief, but the old energy field, the automatic reaction, can still be there. Can any of you identify with this, that you have changed some beliefs, but some things still bother you?
I was like that. When I was 7 years old, I came back from school and met our dog, and he was angry at me.
Okay.
And he attacked me.
Okay.
And from then on,
You're still feeling that?
I do not still, no. I had another experience when 20 more years later. My husband and I went scuba diving.
Yes.
But the boat that we have to get on was in a farm in Marmaris, in one of the villages.
Yeah.
So we had to wait for the boat. And I had to sit in an old chair in the farm. There were all sorts of animals around.
Yeah.
They were passing through, trying to touch me. And I said, let's go.
Good.
Forget it.
Okay.
And I'm not scared of any kind of
Okay. Good. Okay. It was a nice healing experience. Okay. But it's very possible for us to consciously believe that we are not in danger or that we are worthy and still feel that self-doubt or feel that danger. Okay? Now, I don't think we need to go into this. It's a little too philosophical at this point. We may go back to some of these. This is an interesting experiment. Have you seen how many of you have seen the slide, the photographs by Masaru Emoto? Okay. This is a Japanese doctor who took samples of water from various places and then introduced thoughts and motives to the water, feelings. Okay. So this is a water from a dam before a blessing took place on this water. And this is the same water after the blessing. You see this incredible change, which is showing what? That our emotions, that our minds, our thoughts affect the water. Now, our bodies are 80 to 90% water. So every emotion that I have, every thought that I have is conditioning the water in my body in a different way. Yes?
I tried that myself.
Yes.
And the taste of the water
Changes. Good, yeah.
Did it change my mind? Or
Maybe.
myself?
Maybe. I can't answer that if it's real or in your mind, but it's very possible. What you can do is have a certain bottle or pitcher of water, and you can write the words love, or peace or health, and place it on that bottle and let it sit for about an hour, and always drink from that bottle. Okay? This is, in a sense, you are instilling this energy into the water. Okay? But the most important thing here is to understand that our thoughts affect the world around us. This is water which has been subjected to heavy metal music, and this has been subjected to a certain symphony of music.
I would like to say something about this water in recent relation with people who are Baptist. So it's like to have this water also blessed in fact.
Which water?
In fact, the body's water. Or
Yes.
should do not baptize.
Okay, the baptism of the body. Okay, yeah. It's an interesting idea. I never thought of that. Good, okay. Yeah. Here you see water that was subjected to the words thank you and hello. Okay. Now this is another experiment by a doctor called Larry Dossey. He himself placed cancerous cells in 2 vials, test tubes. Okay? He put the same culture, everything was the same, it was a controlled experiment. He prayed and he put poison, the same amount of poison, in both tubes. He prayed for the one tube and didn't pray for the other tube. And there was a 20%, what did I do here? A 20% increase in the survival of the cells in the tube that he prayed for. 20% more. They did another experiment in which he put the same experiment in which he visualized light on the cells. And again, there was a 20% increase in survival, showing that his mental processes of praying and or visualizing light had an effect on these cells. And then he did both, visualizing light and praying, and there was a 40% increase in survival compared to the control group of cells, showing it's difficult to doubt now that prayer, positive thinking, visualization is having an effect on water and on cells, and definitely also on ourselves and other people. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, what do you mean by visualization?
He would close his eyes and he would imagine the cells as well. Okay? Now let's leave this for a while and move on. This is interesting, actually. This is the heart. Okay, now this is from the Heart Math Institute in California. It's a group of cardiologists that have created what they call the freeze frame method. Perhaps the next time I come, we're not going to have time to do that method this time. But what they discovered was that the heart has a very strong effect on the brain. Perhaps even more so than the brain on the heart. Okay? That the energy given off by the heart is a very huge energy, and that our emotions affect the heart. Now this is the functioning of a heart when a person has anger or frustration. And this is the way the heart is beating when there's love or gratitude. Okay? And what they discovered was, measuring various factors, that 5 minutes of anger lowers the functionality of the immune system for 5 hours. And 5 minutes of love, of focusing on feeling love, increases the power of the immune system for 5 hours. Okay? So their technique is to stop periodically through the day and think of someone you love. And just focus on the feelings of feeling love. And this is perhaps one of the best things that we can do for our health. But not only that, but that it creates clarity in the mind. And so they started teaching it to big companies, to businesses. It says, okay, when you cannot solve a problem, do this. Stop, focus on someone you love, create the feeling of love, and then bring that problem to your mind once your brain is functioning now under the sensation of feeling love and appreciation, and you will find a more practical solution. So it can be used for finding solutions. It's a method that we can eventually learn. We'll see if we have time today. It's called freeze frame. The importance of love. At Yale University, 119 men and 40 women, those who felt that others loved them had fewer obstacles to blood flow in their heart. Feeling loved, and I would add feeling love. Most of us want to feel loved. But I would focus on feeling love. That's something that we can control. Has anyone been successful in making someone love them? They can come and do a seminar on that. How to make someone love you without changing who you are? You can't do it. So what we can do is love the other. We can control that. At least we can learn to do it. If we can overcome our fears and our insecurities, we can gradually begin to be able to feel love regardless of what the other does. If 700 elderly persons, those who had others to express their love to, felt useful and had better health. Now, they have found that elderly people with pets, dogs or cats, heal more quickly and have better health. So the importance to have someone to love, the importance to have someone to care for. And if the children are going away and no one needs you anymore, get a cat, get a dog, and take care of it. In a study of 10,000 men, those who felt that their wives do not love them had twice as many problems with their hearts. So love your husbands. Love your husbands. Help. You know, I think that women have the false impression that men are strong and unneedy, because men like to seem that way. And they're programmed, especially in Eastern cultures, that they have to be that way. They cannot have needs and they can have weaknesses. That love is for the weak. But men are actually very sensitive. And most women don't realize that. And what most women don't realize is how much men are hurt by women's criticizing. How much that criticism actually hurts them. And I have done a number of groups with couples. We'd like to have 10 couples and we would talk about their situations. And the universal complaint of women was, my husband doesn't talk. He's aloof. He doesn't share his feelings. He doesn't give me as much attention as I need and I would like to have. And the universal complaint of the men was, my wife is always criticizing me. She's never appreciating. Whatever I do is wrong for her. Okay? And now there will be many exceptions to this. Okay? Maybe millions of exceptions. But in general, it's what I have observed throughout the years. So 10,000 men live longer if you love them. Now, if you don't want them to live longer, don't love them. Okay. If you want to get rid of them, criticize them.
That's also valid for women.
Excuse me?
It's also valid for wives.
I assume so, but the study was on men. Yeah. Now, these are some of the results of employing the freeze frame method, which maybe we'll do it towards the end of the day. Reduced aging, 23% less stress, more of the anti-depression hormone, oxytocin, which is produced by women when they're pregnant. And it creates a sense of peace. And this is also created by this method, which we can learn. Okay? Okay, I think we should take a break. What do you think? I mean, I don't need a break, but I think you need a break. Okay. So, a 15-minute break, and then we continue. Okay? Okay, so we continue now. Employ and live these perceptions in our lives. I'm going to give you a very short history of energy psychology, and then we will start practicing some of the methods. Okay? Energy psychology began around 1980 with Roger Callahan, you see his picture here, who created what is called thought field therapy. I think I should say that Ahmed is knowledgeable in thought field therapy and in most of the methods that I'm going to describe, and that he can help you with any kind of personal problems that you have to learn the method, but also to be helped by the method. Okay, so you can put your telephone number up here later, okay, and you can contact him for that information. Okay, and Dr. Callahan discovered that by tapping on certain acupressure points, that while focusing on a particular emotion, that we can become free from that emotion. He discovered that when he was working with a woman who had fear of water for 50 years. And she was sitting by his pool, and she said, "My stomach is bothering me." And he said, "Well, tap here, because this is the acupuncture point for the stomach meridian," trying to help her overcome the pain in her stomach. And she tapped. He says, "It's gone." And he said, "Oh, your pain is gone? That's good. Let's continue." She says, "No, the fear is gone." And he was astounded. He said, "What is this?" And then he started to experiment with this. And gradually he had no patients, because he cured them all in 1 or 2 sessions. So then he almost went bankrupt. And so he started doing seminars and charging a lot of money for the seminars. So he was able to heal people with phobias and fears like that in 1 or 2 sessions, just by tapping on these points. Okay? The problem with his method is that it's difficult to do it on yourself. You need someone to test your arm, to find the specific points, the series of the points. And so one of his students, Gary Craig, which you will see again in a small movie, decided to make a system which would be general and that everyone could employ on themselves. And this is what we will teach you, one of the methods we will teach you today, so that you can focus on the specific emotion that you have and do this tapping procedure, and you will find that the emotional charge will disappear, will lessen and lessen until it disappears. It can also be used for physical pain or problem or discomfort. It can also be used for desires. So you have emotions, desires, and physical problems. Then one of Gary's students, Pat Carrington, created EFT with choices. Now, this is a lot of information. I'm just giving you an overview now, okay? EFT with choices is a situation in which after I lower my emotional charge, I install a new belief in the mind. So you're asked to choose a new belief that you want to put to strengthen in your mind. And we'll talk more about that later. Then another student of Dr. Callahan, Larry Nims, created the BSFF, and Ahmed is also knowledgeable about this, Be Set Free Fast. It's American fast food system. Be Set Free Fast, where we focus on specific emotions and specific points. And in this method, we make an agreement with the subconscious. And we say to the subconscious, I'm going to tap on these points for this problem, but you know all of the roots of this problem. All of the childhood experiences, all of the memories that are associated with this. And while I'm tapping, you are going to align with that all of the roots, so that I'm not only getting rid of the present problem, but all of the roots or the sources of the problem in the subconscious. And then this gentleman, Daniel Benor, created the WHEE, which is a holistic hybrid of EFT and EMDR. Now, have any of you heard of EMDR? Okay. It's a method in which the psychologist will move his hand from one side to the other, and your eyes will follow the movement, creating an alternative stimulus to the brain, to the two hemispheres of the brain, at the moment you're focusing on the negative emotion. But they also found that they could do this. You could create an alternative stimulus to the brain by tapping on the two sides of the body. So what did he do? He combined EFT with EMDR, and that's what I do. By doing what? By tapping alternatively like this. So we're tapping on both sides of the body, we're tapping alternatively, so we're having dual effect. One effect is the movement of the energy through the meridians, and thus the changing of the energy field. We're having the alternative stimulus of the right and left hemisphere, which is the effect of the EMDR. So having power, double effect. So you can do your EFT with this double tapping procedure. The other aspect of EMDR is that once you have lowered your intensity of emotion, you bring the positive belief that you want to install into your mind, and you do the tapping procedure again. And so this makes it even more complete process. Did I see a hand? Yeah.
Is it related with creating balance?
It's related to two processes. The EFT works by getting the energy to move in the meridians, and thus shattering the old energy crystallized field. Okay? The EMDR and other methods that we will learn function by creating an alternative current to the two hemispheres of the brain, which also decrystallizes the emotional state. So there's two different ways of achieving the same result. And we can combine them in this method. Okay? And then another student of Dr. Callahan, Tapas Fleming, created the TAT. And Ahmed is also knowledgeable of this. Okay? And this is a wonderful method for letting go of old traumas. And we use it especially for forgiveness. Wonderful technique for forgiveness. For forgiving others and for forgiving ourselves. And it's a 7-step process in which you clean yourself completely of this traumatic experience and arrive at a state of forgiveness. We won't be doing that today. This will require, it requires a little more time, and sometimes people like to lie down when they're doing, because you've got your hands like this, or sometimes we do it like this, and it takes some time and energy. But if you want to forgive either others or yourself, this is the method. Then there's the Sadhana method. Are you using this also, Ahmed? No. I'm sure you'll learn it soon. This is also a wonderful method created by this gentleman, Lester Levingston, who was terminally ill. The doctor said, go home, you're going to die in 3 months. We can't do anything for you. And so he went home. He was also an engineer. And he went home and he started experimenting with his mind. He said, I'm going to experiment with the concept of acceptance. Of accepting everything that I feel and then letting go of everything that I feel. And at another time we will learn the method. We will see if we have time today. He lived 44 years. He was supposed to die in 3 months, and he lived 44 years more. By what? By letting go of the negative emotions. It's just a simple method, very much like meditation. in which we can just, it's all in your pamphlet, okay? All whatever I'm saying. I don't have a pamphlet. Is there one for me? No, a pen I have. The pamphlet, I mean. Okay, so everything that I'm showing you and saying to you is in your pamphlet, okay? So the sadhana method is a matter of accepting what we feel, not feeling guilty about what we feel, not feeling angry about what we feel, accepting. I feel fear, it's okay. And the next step, letting go. Okay, it's a very powerful method. And then we have one of my favorites, Ho'oponopono. How many of you know of Ho'oponopono? Okay. Excellent method, excellent. This is an ancient method brought forth from the ancient Hawaiian kahuna spiritual teachers, the kahunas they're called, who assumed a quantum perception of life. They said it's impossible for something to happen to me for which I am not the creator. And very briefly, what does it mean? We actually, this man, Yu Len, we invited him to Greece about 20 years ago. He came to our center and gave us a 3-day seminar on the Ho'oponopono. And what is the concept? For example, in ancient Hawaii, if someone did injustice to you, if they were not behaving properly towards you, and you went to the spiritual teacher, he would say the following to you. He said, go home, light a fire, a ritual, a candle, something, okay, and mentally ask forgiveness from this person for whatever you or your ancestors may have done which is causing this person to behave this way. It's impossible. The universe is just. It's impossible that the cause is not in you. This was their perception. Now the ancestor part I leave. I'm not a big fan on paying for what my ancestors did. I have a different perception of this. But the idea is that if something is happening in my life, and this could be one major thing, could be the behavior of a certain person, rather than being angry, I can go into myself and do this meditation and say, forgive me for whatever might be in me that is attracting this behavior. It could be my fears, it could be my rejection of you, it could be my guilt, my self-doubt, some role that I'm playing, the role of the super person, or the role of the child, or the role of the parent, or the role of the savior. I think I have placed in your papers the list of about 20 possible aspects of ourselves that can be mirroring in another person's behavior. Okay, sorry for whatever in me that may be reflecting in your behavior. I love you. This is very important, to be able to love that person even though their behavior is not what we would like it to be. I love myself, that's equally important. I free you from the need to continue behaving in this way for my evolution. The whole idea is that the only reason that you're even in my life is my evolution. You are giving me stimuli. You are giving me opportunities to discover myself and to get free from fears, attachments, resentment, whatever may be in me, okay? And I thank the divine for removing from me whatever may be contributing to this reality. Now, this at first may seem insane. Someone comes to you and says, this person is beating me. You go home and ask forgiveness for whatever is in you, which is causing him to beat you. I mean, this is the opposite of what we have learned since we were born. But I can assure you that it's a wonderful method and that it really makes changes in the outside world. All of the other methods that we have learned now are for change in the inside world. But this method actually changes the outside world by not asking it to change. By asking whatever is in me to be removed that is contributing to what exists. So it's also an excellent method which I use quite frequently. Every time, whenever I watch the news, I do Ho'oponopono, you see. Because I'm not only responsible for my personal relationships, but I am ultimately responsible for whatever is happening in the world. We have a collective subconscious. Someday we can do a seminar only on this. We have a common subconscious. We have a common, what we call causal body. And aspects of myself are being expressed by others, by the politicians, by the religious leaders, by the thieves, the criminals. These are all aspects of my being. And this is a wonderful philosophy, Ho'oponopono, which I feel that everything actually is a part of myself, and I can improve what is out there by asking that whatever is in me that is contributing to whatever is out there be removed. So this is an excellent method also.